Welcome back live at Drew's house, another edition. Hope everybody is doing well out there. July has gotten hot. Hope you're all enjoying the weather. I think the rain of the first half of the month has hopefully turned into regular summer here for the second half. So anyway, hope you're doing well. Going to get right to my guest because we're all locked in and loaded, ready to go today. Adrienne Smith is going to join us of the Boston Renegades. Folks, we have another championship in Boston. How about that? Adrienne, how are you? Celebrating still, I see.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know how long this celebration is going to last, but I am enjoying it 1,000%.
Absolutely. Well, tell us another title for Boston. What was that like? You're just coming off it, so I can see the smile still on your face.
Drew, absolutely tremendous. We knew going in that we could not take anything for granted. The coaches had us extremely prepared, and we were operating on a high level. You know, nerves were there, but there was also the months and years of time we've put into preparing to play the best level of football that we can.
What is it for people that don't know? Because sometimes these sports take some time to gain steam. What would you say what is? Do you feel the sport growing around you? Can you feel it?
Absolutely. I mean, the sport is taking off tremendously. We've got women's tackle football being played around the world. I personally was on the U.S. women's national tackle football teams in 2010, 2013. We fielded a team in 2017 as well. Things got a little hokey last year because of the pandemic, but everything is moving forward full-fledged. And even on the flag football front, we've got pipelines being created for girls at the high school and women at the collegiate level as well.
Do you remember when you were younger, did you have a lot of opportunities to play, or was it, is this kind of your generation that's building this? I'm trying to remember being in a picture, friends of mine. I didn't play football even, so I was never being, recruited to be a football player even myself. But I'm trying to think if there were a lot of opportunities for girls.
Well, when I was growing up, I focused more on softball and basketball. I did play a little flag football in high school and then in college, but it's nothing like what's going on right now. Definitely within the past, I would say maybe 10, 15, even 20 years, the amount of flag football and tackle football available to women and girls has increased exponentially, and I could not be more excited about it.
People really do love all brands of football, don't they? It seems like, after the NFL season ends, it's like people are just craving more football of any way. You see new leagues popping up. I don't know. I just think it's interesting.
Absolutely. It doesn't stop. I mean, football is a sport that could be played year round. So yeah, I feel the great thing about being a pro female tackle football player is that when the NFL season ends in February with the Super Bowl, most people are just depressed, right? You just have this, we're missing something. Your spirit is sad because there is no more football. But turn to the women. We are playing. Our seasons begin in April and go through July, sometimes August, depending on the calendar year.
All right, you're going to see some high-level football. Let's talk about your team in particular. 3 in a row now, folks. For those of you not paying attention, whoa, look at that. Wow, that is pretty fancy.
Yes, so 3 in a row. I'm flashing some of my rings here. So I have the 2011 ring, the 2014 ring, and the 2019 ring. And I'm so excited to know that I'll be adding a 2021 ring to this collection. But yes, it's tremendous, again, to make history being the first women's tackle football team to three-peat in the WFA League.
You're kind of like getting like Tom Brady there. You're going to run out of room.
Well, some of my teammates already have. We have some women on the team, and our offensive coordinator, Coach Vernon Crawford, they have 6 rings. 2021 makes 6 for them.
Wow, that is incredible. And I see you're wearing the shirt that I was kind of curious about today. There is a little bit of an NFL football Hall of Fame angle to this year's championship. Tell me about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So what was amazing about this year is the WFA was able to coordinate with the Pro Football Hall of Fame to have our championship game played at the Tom Benson Pro Football Hall of Fame Stadium. So it's the first time ever in the history of ever where we have women playing tackle football at this high level. And so the Pro Football Hall of Fame said that because this is such a tremendous occasion, whoever won the game they would be able to place a team ball in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and one jersey from the winning team. And so we unanimously agreed that our awesome quarterback, Allison Cahill, should have her number 7 jersey represent the Boston Renegades in the Football Hall of Fame. And I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, how cool is that? There forever.
Absolutely.
But you guys had, I believe, Robert Kraft reach out to you as well. Is that correct? I mean, you started riding in style too. Give me that story.
Absolutely. So Mr. Kraft, in all of his generosity, he actually surprised me and the Renegades owner, Molly Goodwin. We thought we were being interviewed by one of his staff members, Angelique Fisk, who's the lifestyle editor for the Patriots. And the interview was just going along as interviews do. And then all of a sudden, Angelique's face went away on the Zoom, and Mr. Kraft popped up. And Molly and I are just stunned. We both look like deers, staring into the headlights. And then the words coming out of Mr. Kraft's mouth, which it was unbelievable. He was just so gracious, so kind. And he said that because we were on our way to win our 6th title, that he wanted to fly us in style like he did for the Patriots when they won their 6th title.
That must have been awesome.
Absolutely. Phenomenal. Something I will never forget.
Again, Adrienne Smith joining us. Boston Renegades, wearing a bunch of bling here, coming off another title for the Renegades. Tell a little bit about, because, I mean, another season, I'm sure you celebrate for a little while, get into training mode, and then you're ready to get back at it again. I'm assuming that's the way it goes?
That's exactly it. If you want to win, yes, you've got to train, you got to put in the work.
What's the how do people that are maybe interested in just seeing this, how do they pick up on Renegades football for next year? How does this where do they get to watch you? Give us the lowdown.
Well, follow us on all the social media platforms. So Boston Renegades on Instagram, Go Renegades on Twitter, Boston Renegades on Facebook, and we normally stream our games live on Facebook. So that's the best way to see the action firsthand. Or better yet, come to a game. Make the trip to Boston. Even I don't care where you live in the country or the world. Just make a trip to Boston. We'll make it worth your while.
What is it like, Ben, being a Boston athlete at the professional level? I mean, you have it's a unique place to play any sports. What's been the takeaway for you? Everybody has different takeaways.
Well, so what's really interesting is I'm from New York. I actually live in New York, so I'm commuting every week for practices and games to Boston.
Are you coming? Are you in New York right now?
Absolutely, I'm in Manhattan right now. And so sometimes, my teammates will give me a hard time about that because I'm from New York and, the whole Yankees Red Sox rivalry. But what can I say, Drew? There's something about Boston. It's a city of titans, of sports juggernauts. And there is this mentality playing there that, you have this mantle to uphold. And if you're in Boston and you're on a sports team, then you have to become a dynasty. I mean, what other choice do you have?
Well said. What's this? What was this particular group like? Obviously, I know very few championship teams that were not incredibly close. Usually, that's one of the ingredients that comes with being a champion is you just gel together as a unit. Was that the case this year with this team?
Absolutely, and I think even more so because of the pandemic, right? We're still dealing with it. In 2020, our season was canceled. So big props to the management and to our captains. Our team captains really stepped in, and we created ways to nurture that camaraderie, even though we weren't on the field, even though we were not able to practice. So we would have Zoom sessions on a regular basis. And we went above and beyond by discussing Black Lives Matters and just really incorporating everything that was happening in the real world and making our team an even safer and more inclusive space. It was a tremendous experience to be a part of.
It's interesting you bring that up. What were those conversations like? Because right now I see it in the news again with the soccer team taking a knee during the national anthem. What were those discussions with your team?
Right. It was very raw, very authentic. We even had homework such as reading the book White Fragility and really having some difficult conversations and having some honest conversations about what it's like to be Black in America, how that affects just every single aspect of life. And our white teammates really getting to understand that and to ask questions that maybe they had been hesitant to ask or didn't even think to ask. prior to the movement that occurred last year. So it was really eye-opening for everyone involved. And I know personally, I can say this, but I know it created a foundation upon which we could communicate more effectively with one another.
So that even made you a stronger team.
Absolutely.
Is that moving to see, your white teammates, and maybe, you do have people marching on the streets. It happened here in Boston. It happened all across the country, especially after George Floyd and several other incidents. But is that moving to see your teammates? You know what? We do need to take this more seriously. We do need to really have those uncomfortable conversations, and we need to do it now.
Absolutely. America needs to heal. There's still so much going on. And it was wonderful to know that, my teammates were there for me on the field. Obviously, we protect each other, we play for each other, but that they were willing to step up and take on responsibilities and help off the field as well. It's a tremendous feeling.
I don't know how connected you are to watching these Olympic games. What do you think to yourself when you do see, and there is plenty of criticism. You hear it on, I guess it depends where you want to watch and get your news from, but when the U.S. Olympic women's soccer team, many of them took a knee. They got very criticized from that from certain people. What do you hear? What do you take out of it when you hear people say, "Well, you just not do that on foreign soil"? What do you say to that?
I really think it comes down to education, and it unfortunately people think a certain way based off of excuse me, the data that they've received. So if you've received data that tells you that America is fair and even for everybody, then of course you will take offense when someone dares to say, no, it's not. Because for your entire life, you have been told and you believe that America is absolutely fair. So I think people are criticizing because they have not been exposed to the truth. And that's why it's extremely important to educate everyone, starting from as soon as you pop out on this planet, and really have authentic conversations about each person's experiences, each person's reality in this country.
Well said. Again, Adrienne Smith joining us. All right, back to football for a moment. I'm glad you took me down that road, though. The championship DNA is not something, some teams you have to catch some breaks. Other teams make their own luck. I wonder, your pressure of a playoff game and pressure of trying to win another title. How come your team is so successful, the Boston Renegades? What makes you win these big games and play so well in these big pressure moments?
Consistency. It's discipline. If you want to get good at anything, whether it's speaking French, Japanese, playing the piano, cooking, excuse me, cooking pancakes, which is what I'm really good at. And my voice is cracking because of all the screaming we had to do during the game. The field was amazing. The stadium was amazing, Drew, but it was so loud. So we had to call in the plays, relay the plays from one side of the field to the other. So I'm still trying to recover here. But the reason why Boston is, the Renegades were so successful is because of consistency. We've had our coach, as I mentioned before, Coach Vernon Crawford, has been with the Boston women's team since 2010. Our quarterback, Allison Cahill, even before that. We have three other players, starters, who have been playing for Boston for, what is that, over a decade now. Even myself, I've been making the trek from New York up to Boston since 2011. So when you have consistency in the coaching staff and consistency in the players, you are able to build year after year. You're never going back to zero. You're never starting from scratch. And there's nothing that can replicate that type of bonding, that type of just innate knowledge and sense for how each teammate plays. It's irreplicable.
Wow. And once you have that championship DNA, as I think I called it before, like even, you've got that, once you get that first ring, does it kind of, I don't mean come easier, because obviously that's the wrong word, but is there an element of like knowing how to win? You learn some things along the way that you just know, how to do it in the big moments?
Yes. When you set an expectation, more often than not, you follow through on that expectation. So where your head goes, your body will follow. If we as a unit, as a team, are always expecting to be in the championship game, then that is our driving force. And anything less would be failure. So we're working out with the expectation of being in the championship game. We're studying film with the expectation of being in the championship game. That mindset elevates our level of play. It elevates what we demand upon ourselves, what we demand on ourselves and on our teammates.
You know, it strikes me that you mentioned you would commute from Manhattan to Boston to play these football games. And, you know, I've had some professional tennis players on here, and that's a sport with a whole lot of money, professional tennis, right? But they had said to me that, you know, there is a lot of money total in the game, but a lot of it is so involved in the top players, the front end. They're going to be fine in the pandemic. There are a whole lot of pros and a whole lot of damn good tennis players that are really struggling without having matches during the pandemic. And that's a huge sport, tennis. That's one of the bigger sports in the world. I wonder, what was it for you and your teammates through the pandemic? I imagine there were challenges just like every other aspect of life and every other business, but what was pandemic life like for so many of you when football was taken away?
Well, I would say that it was even more harsh for us because, in case you're not aware, Drew, we have to pay to play. Mm-hmm. So it really is, people talk about, the love of the game, and the men have the love of the game. No, we, the women, are really doing this for the love of the game. And the pandemic was very difficult. We are a grassroots organization. We do fundraising. We pay fees out of our own pockets in order to run, our operations. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of that money was lost. You have to pay for fields ahead of time. You have to pay and book transportation, et cetera, ahead of time. And those funds could not be recouped. So we were starting from less than scratch in 2021. And again, it goes to the fact that we love this game. We love this team. We love what we know we're doing in terms of creating a space and elevating the game and creating more opportunities for the girls coming up behind us.
I was going to say, I mean, you don't do that. You don't make those sorts of sacrifices without thinking of those generations behind you. And I know you must be thinking about that every time you're celebrating a championship. You must be thinking of those generations that will come next.
Absolutely. So I play for a flag football team out of Boston called Merrimack Valley Smoke. And one of our coaches, his name's Anthony, and he just had a little baby girl. Her name is Athena. I call her my baby BFF. And Athena will be 1 in August. And I think about what I'm doing now and how Athena will not have to struggle as hard. I know she's going to be a great football player. I just know it. So I take pride in the fact that my teammates and I are creating avenues. We're creating, like I said, opportunities for girls that exist now and girls that haven't even been born yet.
When you and your teammates honestly talk about it, what do you say, you know what, by the year, whatever, we hope we have this?
For me personally, it's never I'm always about now, Drew. Now. When do you want it? Right now. When do you want a championship? Now. When's my next ring coming? Now. The future is for the future, but we only live in the present. So I'm always about what can we do now? What's happening right now?
That seems to be working out for you. So I happen to be talking to you on a day when the biggest sports story, certainly in the world, is somebody, I don't know, I felt this story was a little bit tough to take today because Simone Biles had to withdraw from the Olympic Games. And we're not 100% sure what happened. She had a unique fall, but they don't think it was that. They think she withdrew because of, that's what we're hearing out of Tokyo, is, possible mental health issues. I have seen the pressure that young woman is under, and she's incredible. I mean, my goodness, watch her and you'd be blown away. Does things that you've never seen on the mats, but the pressure that she was under, I can imagine every athlete kind of feels for her, especially at that age. I'm just wondering for your take on the Simone Biles situation today.
Yes, again, I don't know why she has pulled out. I did see that she will no longer be competing. I believe it's in the team portion.
Yeah, I think she said she's going to come back. She's going to come back at the end of the week for the individual, so that's good.
Okay, great.
Whatever
great.
this is.
I Simone is someone I pray for. Simone, I really do, because the amount of pressure that she's under, what she's carrying, not just for women in sports, not just for gymnasts, but for Black women in particular. She has a lot of weight on her shoulders. And the thing that bothers me the most concerning her is, at least what I've heard and read, that the tricks, the performances that she's able to do, apparently they're so difficult that they're not going to be scored appropriately. And I'm not even sure if I'm speaking articulately about that, but there is just, word on the street is that if she's able to pull off these certain gymnastics vaults or moves, that the overarching, the powers that be will score them lower because they don't want to infringe or hurt other athletes. And to me, that hurts. You are literally penalizing someone for being excellent. And that is just heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking.
I think you said that well. Essentially, that the routine she's carving out, or she's striving so high that nobody's striving that high. It is fascinating. What would be? Is there any advice that you would give athlete to athlete to her? I mean, I'm sure she's lived through plenty of stuff as well. It's not like she's an amateur being in the spotlight, but she is still young, and it's sometimes it's hard to watch young athletes go through that sort of thing.
I don't think I'm in a position to give Simone Biles any advice ever in being an athlete. You made me remember something. About 3 or 4 years ago, I think after the last Olympics, some friends of mine and I, we dressed up as gymnasts. So I got to be Simone Biles.
Oh,
and
really?
Simone, you actually liked my photo, so I'm super excited. But what I would say to her, I can't advise her. I'm older than she is on being a Black woman of excellence. And I would tell her to shine on, keep shining. Whatever you can do, continue to do it, regardless of what the world's going to say.
And you said you represented the United States too. What is that like? That feeling of representing the country?
Oh, it's the highest honor, I believe, as an athlete, to represent your country in international competition. I've done it in women's tackle football and women's flag football, and it's a chance to be on a huge stage and to exhibit the pride you have for your country and show the world what you and your sisters can do. I loved every moment of it.
Very cool. All right, Adrienne Smith, we always end the show with some rapid fire. Really, first thing that comes to your head really quickly for a minute. You up for this?
Yes.
All right. We'll start easy, okay? Favorite food?
Pizza.
Yeah, me too. Favorite musician?
Oh. Okay. Drake, Bob Marley.
Oh, I like that. All right, very good. Favorite movie?
Oh my gosh. Raging Bull.
Oh, okay. Tough one for you. Favorite city in the United States?
New York.
Ooh, okay. As she sits in Manhattan. Very nice. Best advice, best career advice you ever got?
Wow. Dream and do your dream.
Right. And a little similar, but I'm going to just phrase it a little bit differently. We have a lot of young athletes that watch this show. We get a lot of high schoolers will come on here every now and then for quick little segments. And what would you tell the young girl who's never really had football as a thought? Like, they don't offer it at the high school right now where I'm coming to you from. What would you tell that girl who's like, I want to play football after watching that?
Perfect question, and I have the amazing answer. It's the reason I started Gridiron Queendom, my company that supports women and girls around the world who play football or love football. Our tagline is simply this: girl, play football.
Nice.
That's what I would tell her. Girl, play football.
All right, there you go. Do you want to tell anybody where they can find you on social media or whatever? Do you want to put anything out there? Or?
Sure. I'm everywhere as Adrienne the 10. That's my jersey number. So ADRIENNETHE 10. Adrienne the 10.
Adrienne Smith, congratulations on another championship. Can you flash those rings for me one more time? Let me see them all. Look at those. My goodness. That is exciting, huh? Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. We actually covered a lot of different topics, so this was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I did.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great rest of the summer, all right?
You too. Thank you.
All right, Adrienne Smith, Boston Renegades, football champions, and quite an inspiration there to girls, young women, all young athletes everywhere. That was a fun conversation. We did touch on quite a few topics. So there's a lot of stuff in the air. You can't just, I don't know, if you feel the need to ask these things when Simone Biles is in the news today. And I hope Simone is doing well. I did hear just before we came on this show that Simone Biles is planning on competing in the individuals gymnastics at the end of the week. So the pulling out of the team competition, which Russia won this morning, it certainly cost Team USA, but we hope she's doing well. And, that's why we touch on some of that stuff, because it is in the air. But Adrienne Smith of the Boston Renegades, thank you so much. Thank you all so much. I don't know how much longer we're going to be I don't know. I think at some point we'll be back in the studio. But then again, the Delta variant, we keep hearing stuff about this. So not out of this pandemic yet, this pesky, lingering, terrible pandemic. So anyway, hope you're all doing okay out there. Stay safe and stay healthy, and hope you're enjoying the summer. We'll see you next time, live at Drew's house.